Hello, hello, and a warm welcome to yet another bite-sized marketing session with me, Miles from Miles Marketing. A very warm welcome to you all, to all my regulars and to all you newcomers, if this is your first time listening in to me. I go live every single Tuesday at 12:30, and once a month I have a special guest. And I'm just looking up at my board now, and on the 9th of May, David is coming along, and he is going to be talking all about the art of telesales and why it's important. So mark that in the diary. Now, as you can see by the screen today, we've got a popular topic. It's not going to last too long today because I didn't put the top 55 promotional items with dwell time. It's just the top 5. So I will give you some information around items that I think you should be thinking about producing with your brand on or your message on, and why they've got dwell time and sort of what you should be looking at. So I'm just going to check that we are indeed live on the internet. It has come through. We are there. Let me just just reduce it down there. Danny is here. He says he's looking forward to seeing what you have to say about this. Well, thank you, Danny. Hopefully I'm not going to disappoint. I just spoke to Justin actually, and hopefully he is lurking in the background somewhere. But I let him know that I was going to use one of his promotional items today to talk, as a sample, if you like. Right, let's dive into it. Come on, the top 5 promotional items with dwell time. So promotional items, things that might be branded goods, either with your logo on or with a strap line or a message. Dwell time, just a posh phrase for saying something that hangs around, right? The important thing when you produce a promotional item, apart from understanding your target market and what they might use, right? So my top 5 promotional items may not align with your company and what you try and do. I've tried to be as generic as possible, but my main advice would be, if at all possible, don't buy or don't use disposable items or single-use items, because once they have been used or been consumed, they are gone and your branding is gone with it. So that's why it's important to think about the dwell time that your items might have. Also, just a little pointer here, think about your brand values when creating said item. So as an example, your company may have eco credentials. The environment might be at the very core of your company and something which you want to stand for. So it wouldn't make sense to produce lots of plasticky type items. You might want to think of producing something which was perhaps 100% made from recycled product, and make sure that you put that firmly on the item, or you use a bamboo substitute or whatever it may be, so that the product aligns with you. So let's just remember that when you hand something out, it's meant to represent you and your company. Likewise, maybe you've got fun, right? Or having a laugh as one of your brand values. And maybe you can think about pumping that in to your promotional item, either by the item that you use or the slogan or the way in which you portray it. All right. So think about your company, what you stand for when you're producing your promotional items. Now, I like to share some stats, so I drag some stats off the internet here. just around promotional items. Now, 70% of people, right, own a piece of branded clothing. Me being one of them. But, I've also been to events where they've thrown out T-shirts, and I've used it for gardening. It's just an example of something which gets reused a lot. And, a lot of people have them. 89% of people own a promotional pen or pencil or marker. All right. I mean, that doesn't surprise you, right? I'm sure that most of you have got a promotional pen or marker in your on your desk. 53% of people use promotional calendars. Now, I produced a promotional calendar for one of my customers this year, and they get used within their marketplace. They're an industrial company. So it just so happens that within that sort of genre, people like to have a calendar on the wall or on the desk. So just because you might use your iCal or whatever calendar you use on your computer or your smartphone, it doesn't mean to say that your customers or your customers' customers will do the same. So make sure that you've got the target market in mind when you're producing your items. Umbrellas. Umbrellas on average are held on to for 14 months. So there we go. There's an item with dwell time, right? They are quite expensive to produce though. But again, maybe if you do a lot of hospitality, especially around golf, then maybe producing some golf umbrellas, that might be a good idea. 78% of people use beverage cups, reusable beverage cups for their coffee, all right, or a flask to keep their hot drink warm. And 58% of people, they have used a power bank or a USB, a promotional item. So again, with the advent of technology, and I know from experience that these items have come down in price now. So again, something which will have a lot of dwell time. And on average, people keep these items for at least 12 months. Okay, so just some stats there around promotional items with dwell time. Well, I said this was going to be perhaps a little short bite-sized marketing. Please feel free to put any comments that you may have in the chat, or any questions that you might have in the chat that relate to promotional items or dwell time. I'm going to dive in now to my, and I think that's the caveat, right? They're my top 5 promotional items that I think you should consider if you want something to have some dwell time. And in at number 5, yeah, I'm going 5 to 1. In at number 5 are pens, pencils, and markers. And here's your big moment, Justin. This pen, I can tell you, has had quite a lot of dwell time, because I think that Justin handed this out in a meeting that I went to possibly 3 years ago. Let me know just when you think you gave me this EHF, Essex Home Finance pen. And it still works, and it's in my pot on my table. So a lot of dwell time there for pens or pencils. And, maybe if you're a tradesperson, or if you're in an industrial sector or you're a manual working sector, think about producing those sort of carpenter's pencils, the thicker, flatter ones that are very, very useful if you're having to mark things up on a regular basis if you're on the tools. So it's not just about sort of posh pens, and also think about styluses these days. It's not just about the traditional pen or pencil. The main reason to use these items, pens or pencils, is that they're very cheap to produce and everybody uses them, right? Oh, here we go. Justin's been on upside down too. Upside down too. Or was it back to front? Long time ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. So Danny's got a little word of warning about USB sticks. I might come on to that next. Right, so at number 5, pens and pencils. At number 4, battery packs and USBs. Now, these have come down in price. They've tumbled in price in recent years. What I would say, though, is if you're going to go for an emergency battery pack that people put in their bag to charge their mobile phone, make sure that it's of some use and that it's actually going to do the job that you want it to. All right. So don't necessarily go for the cheapest version, because people will be frustrated with it as it doesn't charge their phone properly or whatever it may be, or doesn't give them enough power within their bank. The same would be for USBs. Don't go for the smallest amount of memory on the USB, because then again, it doesn't become something that you want to continue to use. In terms of USBs, they don't just have to be, they don't necessarily need to be the traditional sort. This is something that I produced in a previous life for a company called 49s, a lottery company within the betting industry. And this is a dual purpose, right? It's a keyring, but also it's a USB stick. I know. Like, who doesn't need this in their life, right? So, you can sort of think outside the box, and if you've got long enough lead times, you can produce these types of materials in the Far East to sort of, get your costs down. That's a big caveat with all promotional items. Don't do it last minute. Get the longer lead times. If you can order things in large batches, and you get those economy of scales. Now, what Danny is saying about USBs, a word of warning about USBs. You don't know where they have originally been produced, usually China, and that may cause a risk with preloaded, pre-installed malware. He says you're not widely reported, but it happens. And your company would be liable. Okay, well, look, again, think about the source that you go to, and check these things out as well before you start handing them out. But a good point there, Danny. Thank you very much indeed. Right, okay, so battery packs, USBs. I've written down here 3.5 to 4 hours a day we're on our phones for, right? And I know when I'm out and about, the battery does drain out quite quickly. So the power packs are quite useful. So that's in at number 4. In at number 3, a quality recycled bag, tote bag, like a reusable carrier bag, a drawstring bag maybe. But, excuse me, this is a stat about millennials, right? So the 18 to 25-year-olds, 39% of 18 to 25-year-olds will use a recyclable bag on a regular basis, right? They are environmentally conscious. So a good quality recycled bag, not necessarily made from recycled material, but there we go. But a bag that can be recycled or reused, again, has a lot of dwell time. And again, really think about the usefulness of it. Think about maybe, would you prefer it to have some sort of closing mechanism or a clasp or something like that? Think about the messaging that you have on there. And again, if one of your values is fun, maybe there's a funny slogan attached to this. So that's number 3, a quality recycled bag. If you're in the sports industry, there may be sort of boot bags. Look, the point is that a bag or something to carry something in has a lot of dwell time. In at number 2, so we've done 5, 4, 3. In at number 2, t-shirts, polo shirts, fleeces, branded wares, if you like, and work wears are fantastic. I mean, 85% of people recall the brand that they have on their branded t-shirt. Whenever you're at a sort of a big event and they're throwing the free t-shirts into the crowd, there's a reason for this, right? They have amazing dwell time. But again, talking about quality, think about the quality. Don't just produce the cheapest bit of tut that you possibly can, because again, it's what people will think about your brand. You may not be in the business of producing t-shirts, but if you produce a quality product, then make sure that your promotional t-shirts are also of a good quality too, because that how they wash and how they wear will reflect on you as a brand, because you've got it stitched on, printed on, whatever it may be. Okay, so there we go. Number 2, t-shirts, shirts, caps, all of these items have dwell time. And a drum roll, please. The number 1 item in my book for dwell time is mugs. Okay. Branded mugs, you can't go wrong with the mug. They have a lot of dwell time. And I know that Justin will tell you that I gave him some branded mugs about 3 years ago, and they still get used within his office today. I like to have a bit of fun when I go out to my clients and I give them mugs. I play chocolate biscuit roulette. We put a chocolate biscuit in there. I try and sort of have a little retro chocolate biscuit, maybe a penguin or a club. And if you're very lucky, you might get a trio. But, they are just mugs, but they do have a lot of dwell time. Again, going back to my previous life, we produced mugs with presenters on for the particular product, but we also turned them a little bit into collector's items, because we then produced a subset of individual presenter mugs as well, which became very desirable and people wanted to sort of collect them all. So there's another sort of way in which you can look at it. You can also accompany things like mugs with a coaster, a cardboard coaster, and you can print these on sort of both sides. So mugs, sippy cups, the sort of the thermo type things for your coffee. These are all great items that are going to give you loads and loads of dwell time. Okay, I hope that helped. So my top 5 promotional items with dwell time are: in at number 5, pens, pencils, markers. Number 4, battery packs and USBs. Number 3, quality recycled bags. Number 2, t-shirts, polo shirts, branded wares. And at number 1, mugs and sippy cups. That sounds like something a kid would do. Mugs and thermo mugs for your hot beverages. How's that? Any more? Where does cycle? Here we go, Ben. Where does cycle shirts sit? And is it covered by number 2? Yeah, Ben. Ben's doing a couple of bike rides now over the next couple of months, and yeah, Miles Marketing have sponsored their shirts. So I will share that. Don't worry, I'll share that. The first sponsorship of an athlete. All right. But again, these are things that have dwell time. I'm not suggesting that Ben's going to be wearing his cycle shirt down the pub. But yes, Ben, they fits in at number 2. All right, that's super. Thank you very much indeed for watching, everybody. I hope you found this useful. Just to really sort of summarize and drive all of this home, you don't need to produce promotional items, but if you do, consider your target market, consider your own brand and does it reflect you, and make sure that you produce something which will have this dwell time. It will hang around and it will sort of punch above its weight. All right, well, that's me for this week. I look forward to seeing you all next week. And as usual, my phone number's there. So if you want to ring me up in the middle of the night and heavy breathe, please do. Until next week, I shall look forward to seeing you. Ta-ta for now.